Hi guys, I hope you're not tired of castles yet because we have a few and then we'll move along. Okay, don't worry. We're not gonna be reacting to castles for the rest of our lives. We have a few on the list and we will check them out. So we went to the largest castle in the world, Malbork Castle, Poland. Well, I think we saw this ish, but like kind of not inside, but we saw it. I think it was part of the list, right? Of 12 castles in Poland. So, anyways, before we do start, don't forget to subscribe, click the bell button, and let's begin. I think this is the one that I said I really liked from the outside because it was beautiful and I really wanted to see the inside. And now we get to see it because, like you all know, I'm not the biggest fan of castles because of the interior, but the Poland ones have been giving.
Well, this is an interesting start to today's video. We are on the train from Gdansk to Malbork. I'm not massively impressed with the Polish trains, but it's our first experience. We are left standing, and there are a lot of people. Hang on, a lot of people standing, and there's some sitting down in special compartments. The trip is going to take half an hour. It's cost us about £7. It's a little bit cramped, so we'll see you in Malbork.
Welcome to Malbork Castle in Poland, the largest castle in the world. Let's go and explore.
Charlie's the official tour guide for today with her audio guide. I do have one, but I'm gonna try and get some interesting facts from ChatGPT.
Okay, and then I'll try and get some interesting things.
You do like
from
stats and figures, and I will do interesting things. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Not that the facts and figures aren't interesting, but you know what I mean. But go on, start us off.
So, the castle was actually started being made in 1270.
Yeah.
It's been expanded on many times. The main thing when they expanded it, each time they weren't allowed to go past the river because that was its main form of protection.
Yeah.
But actually we're stood on the footbridge that enters the castle at the moment. But this actually used to be over a man-made lake. It wasn't just the moat around it. This was a man-made lake at the time.
Yeah, because there is nothing down there now in terms of water. Right, let's carry on then. Let's go through the original gate.
Malbork Castle became a World Heritage UNESCO site in December 1997. That shows its importance not just to Poland, but to the whole world.
We're at the gatehouse in Malbork Castle, and this served for many purposes in its design. The first one is obviously defence. It's got the portcullis, which is quite demeaning, isn't it, when it comes down. Then it's also got the murder holes, so defenders were able to trap the enemy in here and use their defensive fortification to murder. There is also foot traffic that can go through the gate, and also during peacetime, merchants would be coming in and out. And this is a really cool design that you wouldn't notice, is the fact that what they've got is they've got long stones for the horse-drawn carriages to go across smoothly. It's fascinating, and there are so many different aspects of this design that has its purpose. Oh. Yes, what have you got to sell?
So as you come into the courtyard, there's a couple of things to note. So to the left of me is the guest house, which would have had all the rooms for all the guests staying in there. In modern times, we would probably call that a hotel. Then to the right of me, we've got the medieval hall, which is where they would have all their banquets and occasions. Now that can be used for ceremonies and I think weddings by the looks of it, 'cause we have just seen a bride. Then behind me is the High Castle, which we will see a bit later.
Behind me is a large tapestry. Now, during medieval times, yes, they were decorative. It is a beautiful bit of artwork here, but actually they also served a different function, and that was to try and keep these big castles slightly warmer, like we put curtains over windows. It traps the heat in and keeps the cold out. Despite the castle nowadays being heated by radiators and fans, this castle back in the medieval times had a remarkable heating system. There's ceramic pipes going all the way through the castle that would push all of the hot air that would be created in the living quarters by fireplaces. In the time, in medieval times, that was truly just incredible and very, very intricate design.
We've now come into the Grand Refectory, which was one of the most prestigious rooms in the whole castle. This is where they would have the feast and all the honourable guests would come to eat. This room's actually quite interesting. It's quite large with lots of paintings on the wall. But one thing to really note in here, they had a really good heating system. I know Rob spoke about heating in a different way before, but for this one, they had furnaces under the ground in here. So when they had guests in, all of these holes on the floor were vents that the furnaces would let up heat from to keep all the guests warm. Quite interesting for that long ago in medieval times for them to have something like that. The castle was originally built by the Order of the Teutonic Knights, who were invited to Poland to bring Christianity to the area. Their main aim was to get rid of the pagans from the area, and this meant they would kill them if necessary. The Teutonic Order owned the castle up until they ran out of money. So when they ran out of money and were under siege, they actually sold the castle to King Casimir IV, and for then the next 300 years, the castle was owned by Polish kings. In 1772, with the partition of Poland, the castle was then given up and was no longer ruled by Polish kings.
Now, behind me depicts the Battle of Grunwald. This was between the Teutonic Order and the Polish-Lithuanian alliance. Now, this battle suffered defeat for the Teutonic Order. However, they were able to get back to Malbork Castle, where they were under siege. And at that time, like Charlie said, they realised they had to sell and give up.
So we're now entering the Grand Master's palace, and this is where the leader would live at the time. This part now is his dressing room, and over here in the cupboard is where he'd keep his robes. I'm pretty sure I would like a dressing room this big.
This is the summer refectory. This is where guests would come to eat during the summer warmer months. But as you can see, if you look up there, there is a big cannonball still in the wall. Now, during the Polish-Lithuanian attack, they actually meant to fire the cannonball at this pillar to make it all collapse, but they missed. And it's still in the wall today. So if you'd like to know what some of the Teutonic Grand Masters look like, here we go. We've got Hermann von Salza, we've got Siegfried von Furchtwagen, Windrich von Nieprod, and Albrecht Hohenzollern. Yeah, that was quite tricky to say, wasn't it? How do you think I did on that?
That was,
awful?
I was quite impressed.
No, it was awful.
You went for it. Malbork Castle houses one of the largest collections of amber wares, and it's really interesting. We're now in the amber exhibition learning how amber is formed. So, in days gone by, Fennoscandia is where Norway and Sweden now are. The climate there was much warmer than it is now, and it was covered in pine trees. So the pine trees
I love the
produced
smell
sap,
of amber.
and the sap
Wood.
slash resin, as it fell to the wet ground, formed into amber and then went into the rivers. Amber is actually lighter than water, so was then carried, and that's how there's such a dense amber population in Gdansk.
As the resin falls from the trees, it's not unusual for organic matter such as plant life or insects to actually be encapsulated in the amber. So, if you've got any amber jewellery at home, maybe have a little check.
all of the amber was controlled by the ruler of the state, which the Teutonic Order were not happy about. So something happened called the Gdansk massacre. So they went to Gdansk, and on the rounds of murdering loads of people, that was the cover-up for them getting Gdansk back and then getting the amber, because they realised how valuable it was.
So this is the oldest part of the castle. This is the High Castle, the oldest part where the most senior Teutonic Order members would live. And as you can see, there is a moat down here, but it was never filled with water because they believed that the height of this part of the castle was enough of a defensive mechanism. But as you can see, in the wall over there, you can still see the marks where the cannonballs were fired. It would have been very difficult to penetrate this part of the castle for sure. So we've just come out from where the Grand Master's tombs are to here, where there are gravestones of the Teutonic Knights. Now, it just shows the standing they had in the Teutonic Order to be buried in the High Castle.
So we've entered the courtyard of the High Castle, which was a fortified monastery. Interesting to note here is the pelican up on top of the well. It was thought that pelicans gave their own blood to their young until they died and to enable their children to survive. So this is the same thing. They have this here because it symbolises Christ giving his blood. So we're now in the kitchen for the monks. So this is where all the meals for the 40 monks will be provided. This thing that looks like a bookcase at the end is a really early dumbwaiter, really, because the cords on the side you would pull and that would take the food up to the refectory on the floor above. So we've now gone into the chapter house, which is where the Teutonic Order would sit and make their decisions, and the Grand Master would sit in a throne over there. Kind of reminds me of the House of Commons to look like. There's loads of benches around the outside, and it just kind of has the same sort of vibe. Do you agree?
Yeah, it does. I feel that the pillars in the middle seem a bit inappropriate positions.
I was going to say, you wouldn't be able to see the person sat opposite you.
No, but it's quite a grand room. The tiles are quite intricate on the floor. And obviously you've got the windows, which are quite fancy as well.
And all the murals on the wall as well.
Yeah. So I've got to think, what sort of decisions were made here?
So every single decision for the Teutonic Order was made in this room.
Like when they're going to give up against the Polish Lithuanian army?
Yeah, I would say that decision was probably made here.
Yeah.
We're now at the Gdansk Tower, which is at the end of a very long corridor. In the time of the Teutonic Order, this was used as the last form of defence. This tower they would come into and they could set fire to the long corridor, and they'd have enough supplies here to last until reinforcements came. In the 13th and 14th century, this was turned into a latrine, a toilet block, because of its high up nature, so the waste could go straight down to the floor. Instead of toilet roll, though, a little bit gross, they would use cabbage leaves.
And to show you how far down it goes, all the way down to the floor. So we're in the church in the High Castle now, and this was significantly damaged during World War II. Now, the restoration took a long, long time, and it only finished in 2016. And as you can see, the parts that were restored are the bits that have the plaster on. So you can see how much had to be restored in this church.
definitely loving the interior so much more than the I think the French one is the one that we saw, if I'm not mistaken. Way more. I don't know, there's something elegant and simple about the Polish castles that I really like.
And to finish off, there is the story of the Grand Master Heinrich von Plauen. He was the Grand Master here and he had a fall from grace and was imprisoned in the dungeons here in the High Castle. Legend has it that you'll see him on a stormy night wandering around.
Well, obviously we haven't told you all the facts and stories about this place because you'll have to find them out when you come and visit for yourselves.
But it was very interesting, right?
It was so interesting, and actually it took a lot longer than I thought. The tour guide said to me it takes an hour and a half. We've been here nearly 3 hours.
So
and
heads up if you are coming.
yeah, it's quite a long.
You need a
but it's
little
really
bit
good.
longer than it says. But there's different options you can have. You can obviously have your audio guide around your neck and your headphones. There are big group guides. There is even...
They're free.
Oh,
You
the
just
big group guides are
The
free?
big group guides are free. You just pay a tip at the end.
Okay.
But you can go on individual tours as well, which you do have to pay a premium for.
But you get more time and you get actually probably asked more questions and things like that.
And I
wouldn't
would
you?
say you do need some sort of guide, whether it's the audio guide or a tour guide. This
Yeah.
would be impossible to navigate on your own.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Well, that was fascinating. I thoroughly enjoyed it. We have just been to the largest castle in the world, and it's all made of brick. It's fascinating. So make sure you come yourself. But if you've enjoyed this, lots of information. We do give out a lot of information on our
Lots of
vlogs.
facts.
If you have enjoyed this, please do make sure you like, subscribe to the channel. Go to asweare.space to check out our merchandise, and we will...
I guess that's it. They're doing their outro. Well, it was never on my radar, Poland. Like we discussed already, it was never on my radar. But now I'm like, okay, there's stuff to see in Poland, right? There's stuff to see. Because if you told me like, we're going to Poland tomorrow, I'll be like, why? What is there? I'll be like, yes, I'm gonna enjoy the food because I go to places to eat anyways. But what else am I gonna do in Poland? And then now that I've seen all this video, I'm like, I want to go there. I want to see this. I want to do the audio tour also, right? I want to visit all these beautiful places. Well, let me know what your thoughts are. Thank you for joining, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.